L0220 here for another review. This time I'm reviewing the movie World War Z. Okay, I will break it down just kind of like I normally do, y'all. I'm gonna go through the scenery, the environment, the music in one section. I'm gonna go through the pacing, of course, with the storyline towards the end, of course, the middle. I normally talk about the acting. And so, with this movie, the premise behind it, you have Brad Pitt's character. He has a wife, 2 children, 2 daughters, and whatever his life was beforehand, he's chosen to escape it, and he is now put in this role of being a dad, and he's content with that, he's happy with that, but everything around him is about to just crumble and fail. It's just amazing to see what happens in the progression of how the movie starts. It shows the savagery of animals, and how with ants and wolves and different things, that with animals eventually there's this point where they just go through this kind of rage and savagery that it's like bare instinct just kicks in, just survival mode. And the ants, I think, more so exemplified a lot of what was really going on as far as the creatures, the zombies that were in this movie. But that was I thought that was really cool. Now, getting into like I said with the review. So as far as the environment, as far as the look and scope of the movie, there's a lot of things going on. They kept it very traditional, but at the same time, this was not, to me, a conventional zombie movie. It didn't feel like really a zombie movie. It felt like more like a pandemic kind of thing, kind of like Contagion. Not necessarily feel like The Walking Dead. It felt like a kind of apocalypse kind of movie. So if you've ever seen War of the Worlds, that would be a good example of kind of how this really felt. It was very interesting because I thought I was going into a movie where they were going to have like zombies and just this weird random outbreak, and that does happen to a degree. Now you got the main character in so many different places. In the first place, I don't think it was Boston. Was it Boston? New York? Anyway, he goes to location in the U.S., and then eventually he has to go off-site to North Korea. He has to go to Jerusalem. He has to go to overseas Russia. All these different locations, and they do it very well. I mean, I didn't think they were going to go through all these different locations like that. And I mean, they showed it kind of in the trailer, but to be honest with you, with the trailer, they've only shown one real trailer. The rest have been TV spots, and I actually really like that. I dig that a lot better because, like, with The Man of Steel, I love The Man of Steel, but they went through so many different trailers and stuff, and I wonder how I would have felt if just seeing that one first trailer and then looking at the movie to see, like, okay, now I'm just totally surprised. Like, I think I would have enjoyed it a lot, even better than I already did. But with this one, they kept it so tight-knit that when I actually saw some action scenes, I see Brad Pitt's character actually fighting and actually interacting and actually having action scenes of his own, where they don't really show that in the movie and like through the movie trailers. And so I was very surprised through that. And so some of the set pieces where, like, the plane scene, which you see in the trailers, that's really epic. They show how the outbreak even starts and how the transition of how the creatures change, which is unlike any kind of zombie transition I've ever seen before. It's so quick and they react so quickly. But with this one, like I said, this is not a zombie movie to me because it's not very gory. They show little to no blood. They do show it like after the fact, or if somebody hits the thing, or they'll show the after effect kinda, but as the motion is actually happening or somebody's getting bit, they don't really show it. They kind of pan out. They more so try to gravitate towards all the amount of zombies that are showing up here, and it's a large number of them. Now, what I will say about that is I like the way, I guess, they kept it this kind of epicness behind nowhere you can run. There's no way around it. You can't sit there and hide in like a little shelter for a long period of time. They will get you. And so I think that was pretty cool. So the set, I would definitely give the set at least a 4 out of 5 as far as just the scope of it. Now, with the music, I thought that there were some scenes that were pretty epic as far as the score, but then I felt like some scenes were very flat. It had little to no music. And I mean, I think they try to keep this kind of chilled kind of environment, but to me, I think they could have done so much more with the score for this, and it would have made it so much more like chilling and epic. But I don't know. I'm not sure who the actual composer was of this. I didn't actually research. My fault on that. But for the music, I have to get it maybe like a 2 out of 5. I didn't like the progression of the music. The pacing of the movie was fine. It kept from here to here to here to here, and you wouldn't think that looking at the trailer. So the progression was fine. Transition was fine. Now, the third half of the movie, it was just kind of like, what are they going to do from here? And it kind of felt, but anyway, I'm not getting to that. But as far as the music is concerned, I give that maybe like a 2 out of 5 for that. So the acting. Brad Pitt, I mean, the man can act. I mean, anybody's seen Glory Bastards, anybody that's seen Troy or Meet Joe Black, Ocean's 11, anything you can think of. The man can act. He has chops. Case of Curious Benjamin Button. Amazing. He should have won an Oscar for that. This one, to me, he played the role of a dad and a military soldier. He didn't do that much emoting in this movie. He didn't necessarily, I want to say, I don't know if he even really cried. I mean, he went through a lot. But he had to be strong so much in the stern role. It was just like, it was believable at the same time it wasn't. It was believable because he had to be that kind of way to maintain different things that he was meant to do. And I don't want to spoil the movie. I'm not. This is not this video and none of the other videos I'm going to do for this movie are not going to have any spoilers in it at all. You're better left going in, looking at it by yourself without knowing what's going to happen. But as far as with Brad Pitt, I mean, I think for the role and for the character, he's perfect for the character. But it was just like, I guess the character itself was just so closed in that Brad Pitt really was underused to me. I think that there could have been so much more epicness to how he was emoting. It was more so with his wife and his kids that were dealing with all the different emotions and all the different things. And there was so many different characters in the movie. And so all around you felt like this was kind of something that could be more realistic. But at the same time, it was like some of the decisions that people were making and some of the things that were happening. It was just like, these people are not acting to the part that they're capable of. I mean, I kind of felt that in a little bit with this movie. And I'm not sure if that had more so to do with the screenplay or that had something more to do just that the pacing had to be a certain kind of way. But I mean, I don't know. It was just like sometimes like the main character was like nonchalant about things, and sometimes he was just really, you could tell there's the heaviness about him. There was sometimes where his wife, which I actually thought the relationship between Brad Pitt and his wife in this movie was very well done. Like, it showed she had the ability of knowing, okay, he needs that support. I have to be strong. I have to do this. I have to do that. And it was a back and forth kind of. They had the perfect marriage to me. In spite of everything I look at the movie, I liked the most. I loved the fact of how tight-knit their relationship was. And it showed a lot in the beginning. Towards the middle and towards the end, it didn't show that much of it. But you see the drive and the essence behind what he's fighting for. Just because of their solidified relationship together. The kids, they did a really good job too. They were kind of underused because they weren't used that much in the movie. Everybody else, it was just so many different pacing of things that were going on. The stakes were very high. And so, I mean, I don't know how I can really even rate this as far as acting because it was more so just Brad Pitt. There's another character, it's a female soldier. She does a good job. I forget her name, but she does a really good job to me. She was right there on par kind of with Brad in the whole motion of everything that was going on. So I thought that was really good. But other than that, I mean, I have to give the acting in this one maybe, I guess I'm being generous, maybe a 3 out of 5. Now, as far as the storyline, this is just going down from what I get from it. This is just my personal opinion on it. Like I said, I compare this to War of the Worlds mixed with Contagion, mixed with a little bit of hint of Walking Dead, but it was so many other things that I felt they could have done with the movie. Because, I mean, the build-up was good. It was a good build-up. It was a decent middle, because at the point in the middle, after the point that they leave the city and they try to get out of the city, or even when they were in the city and they were just trying to survive, and when it starts, when the pandemic starts, and they're in their car and they're trying to figure out what to do next, like, you see, okay, this is something that's believable, that this man, he has a training that he has to get his family out. Like, this is what will happen. Like, you're intrigued by it. And, like, one of the persons that was sitting next to me, this is getting heavy. This is too much. It's too much. And, I mean, I felt that, but I was sitting there laughing kind of in a sense, because I was like, I wasn't feeling as though, like, okay, the stakes are high. Like, something terrible is about to happen or somebody's going to die. I felt like start to finish, the end, it was going to either end really good or it's either going to end really bad for everybody. And I'm not going to tell you what ends up happening, but it definitely, it could have been paced a little bit better. I just, as far as the way the storyline went after the first part, after the second part, it was so well paced that all they had to do was just manipulate and tear something out, or even add a whole other element that you wouldn't understand with the twist. But it was like, I kind of understood, even looking at, when I was looking at the characters that were getting infected and things that were happening, I was kind of already predicted what was going to happen, as far as how they were going to find everything out. And which, I mean, I don't like that necessarily in movies. I don't like figuring out stuff, even though I already overanalyze movies anyway. But to me, I think there's so many different elements they could have went with it. And I think, to me, that a part of that has to do with this game. I've never been so invested in a game since I've been little. I started, and when I started, I couldn't put it down. I fell asleep playing it with the controller literally in my hand, just because there's so much character development. There's so many different elements of surprise. There's a sense of danger at every turn. There's always a force that you have to go and just either try to survive, or you have to take it out. And that is intensity level. And it's so well written. The characters are so lovable and likable and hateable at the same time. And it's just so investing. And so when I think about this and I look back to this movie I just saw, it's hard for me to compare. So I wish I hadn't played this first, and I probably would have enjoyed World War Z a lot better as far as the storyline. But because of this, if I had to compare the storyline from this to World War Z, it's like, that's not good. So, I mean, to me, I would give the storyline 2.5 stars out of 5. So that gets the total all the way to about maybe a 3 out of 5 or 2.5 out of 5 all around for the entire movie. And so that is my personal perspective on World War Z. So I would say definitely go out and see it. It was an entertaining movie. It wasn't that I disliked the movie. I just really thought it could have gone a lot different ways. And it wasn't necessarily that the movie had to be completely changed. It was just from the first part to the second part to the end, and how it can actually shift in, make things even gravitate even further. They just didn't go that route. It felt as though it was actually changed up. I don't know if they switched directors or something crazy happened, but it just felt kind of different towards the end. But at the same time, I liked certain elements of the end, but it was kind of like this kind of cookie dough end, and you don't know what you're going to get in the box, but nothing's led up to that point to make you understand, okay, why. So, you'll see for yourself. Definitely you're going to enjoy the movie. You're definitely going to enjoy the action set pieces. There is action in the movie, which I was actually happy to see. Brad Pitt actually going toe-to-toe with some of the zombies, and there was a sense of danger there. But you'll have to see. It shifts in the movie. But for me, definitely, I'm going to probably do a review on The Last of Us. I haven't done a video game review yet, actually, now that I think about it. So that'll be next on my list to do. So this is SCL0320 signing out. Have a blessed day. Have a blessed night. Deuces.